A lot of you guys will know that I am a Lord of the Rings and a Hobbit freak. That's what I call myself. I studied the films for 15 years, become good friends with some of the crew that have worked on it, of course, some of the tour guides with the tour guiding job that I do. And of course, an author and a Weta guy himself, Daniel Falconer. Now, Daniel has brought out quite a few books in the past to do with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, more so The Hobbit. You might know them as the Chronicles. But a couple of years ago, I believe it was, that's when I saw the post on Weta for the first time. His book was on a pre-release, and it was his latest one, Middle-earth, From Script to Screen. Now, this book consts roughly about 100-120 New Zealand, depending on where you get it from. So I thought, well, why not? I need some light reading. So let's go straight into that book, and let's see what actually stands out for me, okay? So here it is, guys. Fantastic little book. As you can see, it is quite a hefty little thing. There's about 500 odd pages in it. It's beautiful. It's actually indented cover. You can actually, probably get a pencil on a piece of paper and kind of, do your thing like you did when you were at school. But yes, this is pretty phenomenal. As soon as you open it, you're kind of seeing artwork, that Alan Lee and John Howe kind of worked on and stuff, which is real cool. Daniel Falconer, of course, signed it. Now this one here, this version itself is Tim's version. My version is going to be getting signed, but I've said to Daniel that I want to read it first before I actually give it to him, because I'm already up to page 102 or something like that. I'm really enjoying it. In my opinion, the best tie-in book that I have ever seen to do with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Contents, of course, it's the actual map of Middle-earth here. If you're looking at a different place, say Rivendell, it'll be on page 88. Everything nearby, such as the Pass of Courageous, page 125, Goblin Town, 130, so on and so forth. You come over to the likes of Mordor, and it tells you what pages are there and whatnot. It's a real unique way of doing contents, and it's pretty cool. Of course, it's got a foreword by Sir Peter Jackson. I absolutely love the drawings that is illustrated on each chapter. Of course, Alan Lee and John Howe are phenomenal Tolkien illustrators. They have been doing that profession for many, many, many years. Fun fact is Alan Lee was sent a parcel by Sir Peter Jackson and the team, and they actually tracked it. They tracked it so then they could see when it would actually reach Alan Lee, and as soon as it did, they pretty much sat by their phone expecting a phone call. That package there contained 2 movies from Peter that he had done previously, and when the phone call happened, Peter and the crew just blah 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 blah. Alan Lee was sitting there waiting for them to shut up so he could accept the job. Now, what was originally going to be 6 months turned into 6 years. Of course, there was the time on The Hobbit. So, of course, I'm not going to go through this too much with you guys. You guys are just going to have to grab a copy yourself. But like I said, just the illustrations and the behind the scenes, seeing all the Hobbit holes. This one here is my favourite. It's Samwise Gamgee's, or at least Sam's house after the Return of the King, once they have the ending there. A lot more illustrations, guys. It's pretty phenomenal. Behind the scenes shoots. You find out how they managed to do the tree here for the likes of Bag End. But I mean, you look at these illustrations and it just blows your mind. There's a lot of information in here about post-production, about how they did set, how they worked out what sets was going to be built for the actors to work in, and what sets were actually going to be built as miniatures. As you can imagine, they weren't going to build all of Rivendell because that'd be a whole waste of time and money. They literally just build what they need for Rivendell for the actors and put everything else into a miniature. It's got a lot of information about the characters. Of course, they're crucial to the story. The characters, of course. It talks about Bree, how it was set into Fort Dorset, which is here in Wellington. And then after that, it was all demolished and got a new school there and new lifestyle blocks now. So they did all of Bree for Desolation of Smaug inside the studio. Obviously using the same sign from the Prancing Pony for both trilogies. Now, how I was talking about Rivendell, here we go, guys. This is the bigature of Rivendell. Now, bigature is a bigot miniature, and that is what Sir Richard Taylor basically calls it. So they pretty much just built what they needed. They didn't actually build the whole thing. So, as you can imagine, that would have taken a very long time to build. so much information here. Like, there is so much. It tells you about the song that Bofa sings in The Unexpected Journey. Tells you what the song comes from, what it means, all that kind of stuff, which is pretty interesting. Here's another one of those title pages that I was telling you. With the illustration here, it is phenomenal. It just blows your mind at how much people were involved in these two trilogies and exactly what went through with it, and how the art direction was not just one-sided on Alan Lee or John Howe, but there was a collective of people that actually, you know, dived in and gave creative tips and, you know, all drew this together and all that kind of stuff. And it went from a drawing to something that was physical, and that physical might have had to be made once or twice. Of course, you got hobbits, they're shorter, you got wizards, they're taller, so sometimes an elvish glass would have to be made twice to kind of give that kind of realism. You know, and just hearing where it came from to where it kind of ended up with, it just blows your mind, honestly. And this is why I got into filmmaking, is because of Lord of the Rings and, you know, just the kind of stuff that they came up with. And acting is also why I got into acting, because of Lord of the Rings. But yes, just going back to that book, I mean, look at that. That's, you know, Lothlorien and the River Anduin. And it's just nice and simple kind of sketch and whatnot. And then it just blows up into a giant river. A lot of behind the scenes kind of photos here, guys. These photos I've never seen in my life before until these books. So it's stuff that I, you know, haven't seen, and I've studied it for a long time, that's for sure. Another nice illustration here, guys. We've got Gondor. Of course, they're going to be talking about the hobbits, and of course Fangorn Forest with Treebeard here. You know, it's just pretty crazy. But then lastly, the last thing that I just want to point out here, guys, sadly I did not get this envelope in my book, and that is because these only came with a pre-order. But some pretty cool little signs here that you'd sort of expect to see in Hobbiton. So there we go, guys. That's Daniel Falconer's book, From Stage to Screen. If you're a filmmaker fan, if you love New Zealand film, goes without saying, if you love The Hobbit and love Lord of the Rings, if you love all of that kind of stuff, you will absolutely enjoy this book. It gives you a lot of secrets into how they managed to do things and how they were so clever at doing things and what they had to do to tweak it from The Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit, because of course The Hobbit was 3D and they couldn't do things the way they did in Lord of the Rings days. Definitely worth a pick up, definitely worth a read. If you do manage to get around to it and checking it out, then drop a comment below and let me know what you thought of the book and what your favourite part of the book was. But anyways, I've got another 400 pages to read, so that's me. I'm going to get back into it.